Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the football betting series here on YouTube Premier League edition. We won just one of our 3 picks last week, but we did have success on the continent for another profitable week in Matchday 9. That means our October record stands at 20 wins, 7 losses with 2 pushes, and a total profit for the month of £151 flat. Adding this to the previous month's data, and our overall record now stands at 53 wins, 17 losses and 8 pushes, at a total series profit of £395.60. I've got 3 selections in today's episode, so if you think I'm talking some sense, please drop a like down below and subscribe to the channel for more content. Without further ado, let's get into it. Our first selection sees 11th place Bournemouth playing host to top of the league Manchester City, and Bournemouth, they put in a solid away performance in Birmingham against Aston Villa in their last game. Aston Villa made the breakthrough thanks to Ross Barkley, only to have Evan Nilsson rescue a point away from home in the 96th minute, a really well-earned point for the Cherries against a side in the top half of the table. This means that their form is mixed to say the least. The Arsenal result that they had recently was mainly down to an early red card from Saliba, but other than that, their only win from the last 6 Premier League games came against relegation struggling Southampton. However, their general play has been entertaining and they have been strong enough to secure enough points to keep them clear of the relegation zone. They play a Manchester City side who did not take very long to find the breakthrough in their most recent game against Southampton. Erling Haaland scoring just after 5 minutes, and despite the pressure mounting and knocking on the door with a number of attempts in the game, City failed to add any more, with the game finishing 1-0. In terms of form for the Citizens, this means it's 3 wins in a row in the Premier League. They're unbeaten in 9 Premier League games and 13 matches across all competitions. When we look at the head-to-head record, the last match took place at Dean Court, and it saw Bournemouth put in a respectable performance in their 1-0 loss to Man City. Phil Foden was the main difference on the scoreline in that one, and taking a look at the numbers, City could have won by a couple more on the day. Bournemouth's defence performed admirably. Longer term, it is pretty ugly for the Cherries. They have failed to beat City in all 15 competitive meetings, losing all 15 by an aggregate score of 47-8. My prediction for this match is a Man City win. Home or away, rain or shine, 2015 to 2024, it does not seem to matter, as they always beat Bournemouth, so I'm going to be backing them to do that again for a full stake in bet number 1. Our second selection sees 18th place Ipswich Town playing host to 15th place Leicester City. The Tractor Boys, they jumped out to a 2-0 lead in their most recent game against Brentford. They really caught the bees on the back foot. However, they couldn't keep the momentum through into half-time, as they conceded twice just before the interval. In the second half, Mbeumo's penalty completed the turnaround for Brentford, and Ipswich were losing by 3-2. Despite being down to 10 men, Ipswich did battle back to level the scorelines 3-3, and just when everyone thought the game was over, Mbeumo scored in the 96th minute with a cross to steal the win, the final result finishing 4-3 to Brentford. In terms of form for Ipswich, this does mean that they are winless in their 9 Premier League games, and chucking a 2-goal lead is really quite damning for the Suffolk side. They play a Leicester City side who were bested by Nottingham Forest on Friday night, losing 3-1. Chris Wood's double was the difference between the two sides, but looking at the match stats, it does seem this was the right result. Leicester failing to generate more than 1.0 XG really shows why they were unable to pick up any points from this match. In terms of form for the Foxes, this result did break a brief 2-game winning streak, and they find themselves 6 points ahead of the relegation zone. When we look at the head-to-head records, both games last season in the Championship finished in 1-1 draws, with Ipswich Town managed to salvage points late on in both encounters. This was thanks to Sam Morsey's 93rd minute equaliser on Boxing Day, and then Jeremy Sarmiento's 89th minute equaliser in January. My prediction for this game is that both sides have the capacity to score goals, but also struggle to keep it tight at the back, which means we're looking at both teams to score. Ipswich Town have seen both teams to score in 6 of their 9 Premier League games and in 2 of their last 3 home matches, whereas Leicester City have seen 8 of their 9 Premier League games see both teams to score, and this does include in all 4 away matches. In terms of the head-to-head record, both games last year saw both teams to score, so I'm going to be backing both teams to score for a full stake in this one. Our third and final selection in today's episode sees 19th place Wolverhampton Wanderers hosting 17th place Crystal Palace. And in Wolves' last game, Brighton must have thought they had won the match after Ferguson added to Welbeck's earlier strike, with the Seagulls leading 2-0 after 85 minutes. Credit where it's due, as Wolverhampton did not give up, they did not surrender the game, and in the 88th minute, Ait-Nouri gave them a glimmer of hope. This hope was realised in the 93rd minute as Mateus Cunha scored an equaliser right at the death, 2-2 the final score. In terms of form, Wolves are winless in 9, and there is a lot of speculation around O'Neill's job, but the late comeback does show that he hasn't lost the dressing room, the players haven't downed tools, and he's still in for a job here. They play a Crystal Palace side who picked up their first win of the season in their most recent match against Spurs. Matete's strike in the 31st minute was the main difference, and it was really a chance of Spurs' making as they failed to play it out from the back, ending in disaster with the Matete goal. Based on the 1-0 scoreline, you may expect that Crystal Palace held out for the win, but it was actually the Eagles that were more keen to add a second goal to the affair. In the second half, they outshot Spurs 7-3, resulting in double the XG. In terms of form, this result did break Palace's 8-game winless streak, and they are now out of the relegation zone as Ipswich Town drop in to keep Wolves and Southampton company. In terms of the head-to-head records, Palace won the previous game 3-1 at Molineux. Elise and Matete saw Palace take a 2-goal lead into half-time before Cunha started a comeback in the 66th minute. However, these hopes of a comeback were quickly dashed with Eze adding a third for Palace in the 73rd minute. His strike secured all 3 points for the Eagles. In fact, Palace won both games last season, and they've also won 6 of the last 7 Premier League games as well. My prediction for this game, with this record and their first win of the season, it would lead a lot of people to back Crystal Palace here. But I've not been very convinced by them this year. Similarly, I can't back Wolves on account of their dire form, but I am looking at goals today. Wolves have seen over 2.5 goals in each of their last 6 Premier League games and each of their last 7 across all competitions. On the other hand, Crystal Palace have seen over 2.5 goals in just 1 of the last 5, but in 2 of the last 3 away games in all competitions. In terms of the head-to-head record, 3 of the last 4 Premier League games and 4 of the last 5 encounters, if you include this summer's friendly, have seen over 2.5 goals, and all of this is leading me towards over 2.5 goals. Both sides have shaky defences, which I don't trust, so I'm going to be backing this for a full stake in the final bet of the episode. So there we have it, 3 picks in today's episode, starting off with Bournemouth versus Man City. We're going to be backing the away sides at odds of 1.56, a £40 stake to return 22.40. Next up, we have Ipswich versus Leicester, and we're going to be backing both teams to score, odds of 1.63, a full stake of £40 to return 25.20. And wrapping up the Saturday and this week's episode, Wolves versus Crystal Palace, we're going to be backing over 2.5 goals, odds of 1.74, a £40 stake to return £29.60. So, across the weekend, we're going to be risking £120 to hopefully pick up as much as £77.20. Will we do so? Well, there's only one way to find out, that's to tune into the next episode. But if you have made it to this point in the video, please drop a like down below and subscribe to the channel for more content. Don't forget to check out the continental picks in the comment section below. And as always, have yourself a lovely day.